Okay. Should be live.
Should be.
There's my chat, I suppose.
Let me see. I'll go to your channel real quick. See. Live. Boom. It says we're live.
Nice.
Oh God. Oh, it's so loud. I forgot to mute it.
So I forgot about this. I don't know about you when you were on the live last time. If I sign into chat, it does some weird thing and opens up another window.
Yeah, in the Streamlabs. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So did you just chat in your phone last time, or how'd you do that?
I just go into the actual. I have a tab open on my web browser usually, and then I usually just chat literally in I'm signed into the web browser YouTube, and I just chat through that. Or I'll do it through my phone. I'll have my phone and I'll be chatting that way as well.
Okay, I think I got it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty slick background for the. Dig it.
It was free.
Dig it.
I thought, why the heck not?
Let's do this thing.
So, okay, well, I'm signed into chat. See if anybody hops on here or if they're already on. Hopefully audio levels are good. I know Bree's going to pop in just to make sure audio's good. Should be good.
If it looks good on your side. I hear you just fine.
So, screw everybody else.
Yeah. Audience schmaudience.
There's Bree. Are we sounding good? I'm assuming. David, hello. Thanks for joining. Audio sounds great. Sweet. We are good to roll.
Pop these out. There we go. Will this affect? I wonder if I resize my screen, if it'll affect yours. I don't think it should, right?
No, it shouldn't.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, buddy. All right, cool. Joshua D23, David.
Joshua,
Bree.
thanks for.
Yeah.
All right.
Caldera closed.
Yes, I am getting all the enjoyment I can out of this before I have to send this back to Zach.
It's a good one, man.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. I honestly we were just talking earlier. I don't really do a lot. Well, in the summertime, it gets so hot here in this room that I don't do a lot of videos. I don't do a lot of content creation, and usually it's also because I'm not inside. We're always out and we're so busy in the summer with the daughter and like going and doing stuff that I just never have time. And also it's hot in here, so I don't like wearing headphones a lot of the time. But yeah. So I haven't had as much time as I'd like with my Caldera clothes, but they have quickly become my favorite ZMF so far.
They're mine, and I mean, as much as I love my Atrium closed, like these are so good.
Yeah, Atriums are sitting there angrily looking at me.
Traitor.
With the Bocas are right there too. I was debating if I was going to wear the Bocas or the Calderas. The Bocas are a little more comfortable for me, and I really love the sound of the Bocas. Bocas are lighter, but there's just some je ne sais quoi, as they say, about the Caldera closed. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
they sound so good. So could go on and on about them, but I guess probably shouldn't. So. Yeah, so CanJam SoCal. Looking forward to it. I thought this would be a good time to do a stream and just talk about anything CanJam. I know you and I kind of share the same thoughts in that we don't usually have an agenda with CanJams other than just wanting to go and see people again.
Yeah, and it's funny, as I was saying earlier, I haven't looked. I don't even know what's going to be there. Like, I have no idea what products are there. I don't know what outside of the normal, companies that are there. I haven't even looked at the vendor list. I haven't looked at the program. I haven't looked at what's been coming out or releasing. So I'm going in kind of blind. But for me, like you said, like I'm mostly going because it's a way for me to see people that I don't get to see normally in the industry, right? Or people that like yourself or some other friends from the community and whatnot. So, and or vendors that I know and what have you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's gonna be some people there that don't usually go that should be exciting to see how people react to them. But we'll see. It'll be fun.
Yeah, no, definitely will. I do actually have a small list that I've created myself this time, which I didn't do last time, just so I don't forget. Because when I left New York, I had a few people saying, "Hey, what'd you think of this?" And I was like, I didn't even check that out. One of them was there's a new Stax headphone, and people raved about it at New York. It's called the Amanis, I think.
Oh yeah,
and I did not check it out.
Is that a Stax or is that a SR?
Maybe it is. It's an
the
Electrostat.
Raw.
I know that.
It's the Raw. It's the Raw headphone. The Amanis, I think. That one, yeah. I have a couple people that love that. Like people are going nuts. I used to have the Raw SR1As, the flappy ones, and proper loved those. I only got rid of them because speakers replaced them. But I kind of regret it because I still love those things. But
yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about the Amanis, and there's another one. There's two that they have. There's like a mid range. By mid range, it's like $5,000, $6,000, something like that. And then there's like a $10,000 version.
It's there's the mid-fi.
Yeah, bananas. But so they have the two. There's the one that's like a little bit cheaper. Then there's one that's much more expensive, and that's like there's a debate about which one people prefer. And be interesting to hear both those finally. And yeah, have you ever met the Raw guys? They're like some of the nicest people, man.
I don't know if I met them, but I've been in their room. I couldn't tell you if I met them or just, they have the vendors sometimes too. So
yeah, usually if you're at the Raw booth itself or Raw like whatever, like that is usually them. Like that's their representatives at least at the bare minimum.
Because I think if I remember the last one I went to, they were teamed up in like the head amp room. I don't know if that's usually who they're with.
Was that CanJam New York?
It might have actually been,
SoCal?
Might have been SoCal or even Chicago back when they still had Chicago. So I don't remember.
I'm trying to think because they might team up now. But yeah, I think the one of the first ones they had their own little booth, but they probably do a team up now.
Oh, ETA's on. Hey.
Yeah.
Thanks Ribbons. For joining. Donald, thanks for joining. And Ribbon. Okay.
Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that wrong.
It is what it is.
But yeah, I mean, so I had that one. Let me pull up my little.
That'd be exciting. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to hear that too. I without realizing that, I should have known they'd be there, but yeah, that'd be exciting to hear.
There's also, I'm not always a big Abyss fan, but I've been told to check out their new Diana DZ. So I thought, what the heck? I'll check that out. Did you see Amps and Sound? I don't know what it's called because I just saw the
new
Instagram
tube DAC.
Post. He's got a collab DAC.
Yeah, tube. That's the one that's it's. I was actually chatting with the guy that builds those tube DACs, and I was supposed to. Once again, summertime, so it's really hard to maintain. And then if you get two people that are constantly busy, it's like really hard to. And then ADHD, and then anyways, I was supposed to do something with him or try to get something together with him, the guy that makes those tube DACs, and they're supposed to be phenomenal. So I'm really excited to hear that too.
So you probably have more experience than me, and when I say more, I mean any, because I have none with tube DACs. So
barely any, bro.
Barely
to be
any?
honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
I've heard nothing but good things though, because I love tubes. So more of something you love got to be good, right?
That's true.
Not always. Sometimes it can hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, I did finally plug in my new tubes that I got sent in, the 12 AU7s for my HA3A. And they're the PS Bane Horizon.
Yeah.
The new Horizon series they have out. I told you, I remember you and I were chatting. I was like, I was nervous because I'm like, I don't know if I'm really going to hear a difference. And the problem with rolling tubes I'm already finding is like, it's so easy with headphones. Like I can put my Caldera on, then I can take a book.
You have to be super careful. You have to do the real roll around and slowly pop it off.
But like remembering a sound signature unless it's drastic, I'm like, how the hell? But actually, yes, I've noticed a difference already. So I'm like, okay, cool. I did hear a difference.
I forgot to mention this tip. If while you're listening, write one word notes while you're listening on different things. Like, go, okay, how are the lows? And like try to write like 1 to 2 or maybe a sentence about how it sounds to you. And then mids and the highs, like focus on a song and play the same song over and over again. And then kind of keep writing notes on that same thing with that one tube or that combination of tubes. Right. And if you do that, you can kind of get an idea and then switch out. And because you have to let it cool down, you have to let it, and then, there's this whole process to get swapping tubes. So it's a very time consuming and it's very difficult in the sense of, like you said, how to define the differences. And then beyond that, like, which you have already found, but then I'm glad you had that experience, because a lot of times there is a very drastic difference, like where you'll hear like the stage will get sometimes like super holographic.
Yeah.
The detail would just be like, it feels like it's just popping all around you. There can be like, there's some what's the word for that? Transducive? I can't think of the word where it like not transitional, but it's where you transition to a higher level kind of thing.
Oh, I got
transformative, yeah. Like kind of listening experience, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where you hear something, you're like it kind of just blows your mind a little bit.
Well, I can tell you, I definitely experienced that because I've got the Susvara Unveiled. I'm working on the video tomorrow finally, and that one I was like, okay, this will be a good example to listen for a difference on. Definitely did. So
yeah. And I will say that about the Susvara, that thing you can pick apart a lot of stuff with that, like easily. Yeah, that's a good one to hear differences in your DACs and amps and just chain in general. I've never heard the Susvara Unveiled, but I mean, I've heard Susvara multiple times.
So I don't want to go too much into this because I got to do my video and I don't want to do spoilers, but I'll just say this. Why?
Terrifying. Is there any metal near you? What are you doing? Are you a crazy man?
That's the only thing I'm going to say, and I'll save the rest for the video, but just why? I mean, it's $8,000. And
did you see the post on Headphone, I think it was, where the guy had something go right through it, like instantly bought it, showed up, he listened to it for like a day or two, and then right through the chair. Like, oh, there goes, was it $10,000 now for those things?
$8,000. $8,000. They sound amazing. I mean, yes,
Susvara sounds amazing. Like, but I still prefer Calderas to them, but I mean,
right? Yeah, it's all preferences.
It is preferences, and that's my preference. That's my bias. I will wear that on my sleeve. I definitively am more of a ZMF house sound guy than the hi-fi in-house sound. That's for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll say a lot more on my notes upon notes that I have for my video. But yeah, it's funny because that's like, you're talking about bias. That's kind of the bias going into it too, because when I saw it before I even got it in, I was like, why would they do that? So already I had this negative vibe getting the headphone in, but it's what it is.
It's kind of like one of those things where it's like, I almost feel like it's a humble brag to some level. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not that that's a humble thing. Like, it's more just bragging. Like, I have this super expensive thing that's super delicate and could be broken at the whim of a thing. Like, it's a very odd dynamic, I guess, in the audio, just in hobbies in general for those things, right? Because I'm sure it sounds fantastic. I have a question. Can you leave the thing on and listen to it? Does it act like a closed? No. Do they just recommend you take it off to listen?
You have to take it off. Yeah, okay. It just deadens everything if you leave it on. I shouldn't say it. I didn't try it because you're not supposed to, but
I see.
Yeah.
So it's literally just a protective thing while you're not using it.
Just a cover. Yep. Hubcaps.
Oh, dude, there's gonna be
hubcaps for your headphone. Like, they really could have marketed that differently and maybe made different grill covers, spot minute out.
Like little paintings on them and like
scopes, the things that what are those that you flick them and they like spin?
Spinners, little spinners like the old like the 22s.
Yeah, they could have gone all out with that one. But yeah,
wild. you're paying more for less. Also, like, what a wild thing. Like when you think about it, like, because how much better is that to the original Susvara, right? Like, I can't imagine it's leagues better.
No, I wouldn't call it leagues better. I mean,
so you're literally paying, because that was originally a mod, as I recall. Like a lot of people did that as a mod where they removed the thing, right, to make it sound more open or sound more.
It truly opens the sound, and no pun intended, it really does. But I mean, I don't know. I kind of wonder, like, could they have done a thin layer of like a mesh or something so that, I don't know.
Yeah, anything but like just a straight up open driver that you pay more for.
Because I'm with you. Like, if I'm going to pay a lot of money, then I expect a robust, hence, you know, something like
and
this.
Man, dude, I mean, at least there's that. At least Hi-Fi Man is Hi-Fi Man is very well known for the robust builds. So I mean, at least you have that. You have that going for you. Their quality control is amazing.
Yeah.
They have great customer support. So I mean, at least you have that. Wait, am I thinking of the right?
Yeah. I know, that was my thought too, is like, you know, yeah, there's so many things. I'm saving it all for the video, but there's so many issues I have, but sounds excellent. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that Enleum though, man, you still have that. I'm impressed. That thing is so good.
I still have that, and I meant to show you because I know you had talked about the big boy too.
Oh, that's so good.
Enleum, Suin actually sent me this one so I could check out the big boy one, and man,
it's so good.
I gotta tell you though, I A/B'd both, and
they're on par.
They are. No, I mean, it's literally just a small version of it. I didn't notice like some big major difference going from the big boy to the mobile, which is excellent.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like it's funny, like because obviously I'm going off of audio memory when I heard the little one, but it was a wild thing for me, man, where I heard oh gosh darn it, I hit my Apple computer and it turned on. It's making noises. Let me but yeah, turn this. I'm editing photos. Let me power this thing down. Actually, let me exit out of Discord so it doesn't make all these crazy noises. I was gonna say, like, so my audio memory, it's a thing that you just don't have, right? Humans don't have it very well. Like it's like kind of like a interesting like thing that our audio memory is kind of crap. But
sure.
Listening to the little one of the Enleum, sorry, ADHD, long storytelling.
You're good.
The little one, I instantly was like, oh, this is exactly how I think of what the sound was. Like it was like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, this sounds just like how I remember the big boy. So it's glad that it coincided.
Yeah. No, they're just excellent amps, build, all of it, like just phenomenal. Reminds me of chord stuff, honestly. I mean, you got your TT2. I was actually just talking to somebody had asked me the other day if a TT2 would drive the Tungsten, and I had never looked up any of the specs before.
It will.
It should. I mean,
it will. You have to do it out of the back. There's the balanced out of the back, which isn't actual balance. It's just the plugs. Chord isn't a big believer in balanced audio, so that's something you have to pay attention to. But out of the back, it puts out more power, and you can get an adapter that does the left and right into a single XLR, and then you can power almost. I mean, you could use. Excuse me. Drinking soda pop, give me the burps. But that being said, you can. It's more than enough power to power anything. And there's going to be tons of people that are going to tell you like, oh no, it can't power the Susvara properly. Oh no, it can't. And it's like, I mean, on paper, mathematically speaking, from people that I've talked to, the amount of power that puts out would be more than enough to power the Susvara. But
I mean, somebody asked me that question, so I reached out to Ryan Dietz of Tungsten, and I said, hey, do you know? And he just looked up the specs, same thing. He was like, yeah. He's like, at 150 ohms, it should put out about 2 watts. That's plenty. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. So.
And out of the back, it puts out even more. Like, so something to be aware of. Like, it puts out a ton out of the back of that thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's meant to power small speakers or something like that. Is what the
Right.
intent was.
I mean, it's pricey, so
It
I
is
hope
pricey
so.
though, man. That thing is. Oh.
It's another one. It's like the Enleum. I mean, but they got the build to back it up. I will give it that. So
yeah, I mean that thing is. It's where is it over here? My little pink. I don't know if you can even see that. Can I? Nope. I'm blocking with my big head. Wait, which way do I go? I can't tell. Oh god, I'll just move out of the way. It's that thing back there. I have a little kef set up back there.
Nice.
But sorry, I'm like trying to look at my. It's like, why am I?
Oh, I do the same thing all the time. I can never know which direction to go with my camera.
It's wild. Anyways, so yeah, like the Susvara Unveiled. So what else are you excited for? You're saying
yeah, I was actually just looking at my list to get back on track. So the Arubis, which is I don't know if you remember, but it's Juan that it's his own headphone that he made. So I can't wait to check his out because he said he's going to have plenty of demo models there. For
that dude's been on a tear. I've been seeing him everywhere, man.
Yeah, and I remember they sounded good at New York. So
I like the way they sound. Yeah, I'm trying to think when was the last time I heard those. Would have been the San Jose Audio Enclave or the Bay Area Audio Enclave crew.
That's right. Yeah.
And so I did that one. That was like, God, that's 2 years ago now. It's the last time I heard those.
Yeah. And he's in final state. I think he's ready. So yeah, I want to hear that one. I've got the one thing I missed at New York was the new Felix NV
Felix.
amp. That really expensive one. I don't know how much it is.
The crazy, I think that one's pretty pricey. What is that one? It's the new reissue of the Envy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard that was phenomenal, which I'm sure it is.
I mean, I've always liked the Felix stuff. I've had a couple in house, and I've always liked it. They always make really good stuff. They always sound really good.
There's the new. I wanted to hear the new Focal stuff. Focal. They have their. I don't even remember the name of them. I had to look them up, but it's
the cheap
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like
my buddy told me he likes them a lot. He said they're pretty good for what they are. He actually liked them better than the Celeste and the whatever the other one. Not the Radiance, the Celeste and the.
Oh, I know you're talking about, and I can't remember either.
Yeah, not the Radiance. It's the other one that's like not. It's not the Clear. Maybe it is the Clear.
Well, you got the Clear MG.
Clear MG. Maybe it was that. He said he liked them better than the Clear MG and the Celeste. But I thought there was another one that they had that was like. Maybe it's the Elix. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, yeah. No, I want to, or maybe even the Batiste, because I mean, you got that one too. That's I know it's Bluetooth, but you can wire it too.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I want to check those out because that's what I feel like. I know you and I have talked about this before, but he's more of that, man. Everybody wants $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 headphones. Give us some more stuff that more people can get into the hobby
with. Yeah, because that's what's missing. Because now you're starting to see like that gap, that divide starting to grow and grow and grow, where you're starting to have like this. There's these people that've been in the audiophile world that came in with like $200 Sennheisers, and that's still the norm. Like everyone comes in with the freaking 600s, or 650s or 6XX. That's like how everybody gets into the hobby at some level, right? And but what else is there in that realm that fits that audiophile thing without being like a chintzy thing or without being like you're sacrificing a bunch,
Right. Yeah, that's where I feel like headphones are falling behind.
Yeah.
Pains me to say falling behind IEMs.
IEMs. I was going to say IEMs are like
they've figured it out. They've just done it too much.
There's too much.
They need to chill out. Honestly,
every freaking day it seems like there's some new like. I don't know how much do you get. I mean, because I don't do a lot of IEMs. I have a lot. I mean, obviously that's what's new and fresh all the time. There's always new IEMs, but it's like, dude, it's like seems like every other day I get some new email saying, "Hey, check out these IEMs. We can, like, you want to try get on the demo tour for these? You want to get on?" And it's like,
I have officially turned into an IEM snob now, and like if they're like under $200-300, I'm like, no more. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind checking out the higher end stuff because I don't really have a lot of experience with that, but I have too much experience with the low end stuff, and it's all little variations, and that's what it is.
They all sound the same. And even once you get into like the couple $100 ones, man, like it's wild, man. Like they really don't. And this is just my experience, my opinion. So this is not, I'm not trying to say this is the accurate thing or anything like that. This is just my experience, my opinion on the matter. But like, I even feel like some of the higher stuff is like kind of pushing into that realm of like it all sounds the same, which is kind of like. So I mean, you're getting better performance. Sure, you're getting a little bit better build qualities. You're getting better. The only ones I know that can kind of tend to lean more into their own house sound, which that's what I think. That's my thing. Is like I prefer things that have a unique flavor, a unique taste, a unique presentation, a thing that makes them unique, makes them you want to go back and listen to them more. I think Dunu was doing a lot of good stuff there, even though they do kind of more of the Harman stuff too as well. But they have such fantastic product like experience, like the unboxing, all the stuff you get with anything you get from Dunu. Their cables are great, but they also have like a more of what I prefer, like a little bit warmer sound, a little more bass, that kind of thing. Generally, I'm generalizing. But Campfire Audio is another one that I really enjoy as far as like doing their own thing. Like a lot of people are very divisive. It's a very divisive IEM company in the sense of what people opinion on it is. Right. But as far as just pure audio and like how they sound, they've had a couple misses, maybe a lot of misses. I don't know. I haven't heard all their stuff, but I haven't heard a lot of their new stuff either. But I mean, they've always had the Andromeda series, which has always been one of the top tier IEMs you can get. I don't care what you think about the company. That's like the HC800 of freaking IEMs. So, but yeah, I'm trying to think of other IEM companies that just really like impressed me or surprised me. And there are even the new Albas, from Mez.
They're good.
Yeah. I like those a lot. And those are pretty decent. Like I think so. I mean, there's definitely outliers, but I think in general, once you get into like I don't want to be divisive here either, but like by calling it like the chi-fi stuff, where it's not always, like comes from any company where they put out these like new IEMs. It seems like every month, and so
dude, it's like every week.
Yeah, and they're like $20. They're like $15. So it's like people are like, oh, what do you think of those? And it's like, I don't have them. I don't know what to tell you. And then they're so cheap. It's like, and I get it. Like that one man's cheap is another man's, or woman's. I don't want to, but like, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, dude, just don't drink coffee for 2 days and buy them. Like, I don't know, man.
I mean, I hate to be that way, but in the days of Amazon, it's like, if they're under $50, buy them, return them if you don't like them. Move on to something else. But that's sad, but that's kind of the state of things for those. I will say I just did a video on another SimGot one, the Super Mix 4. I was just telling Beef on our Discord the other day, I was like, they're actually like, they've got a ton of like sub-bass energy, and they're a little bit warmer up top, and I was like, they're fun. I was like, so there you go. But again, like, I kind of want to be done, so because I don't find enough differences in them to, I guess for my thing, like, and I know you're like this too, like to put the time and effort into the videos and everything I do with them. No, if you wanted me to talk for 5 minutes on something, no B-roll, nothing at all, be done. Okay, I can do that, but that's not me. That's not how I do things.
Yeah, like I'm with you. Like I actually think about that too, man. I wanted to start doing. Oh man, excuse me, drinking too much soda pop. But I always do that every summer. I always like try to reevaluate how I approach things and everything like that, because I have the time. Well, I'm not making videos as much, so I have more time to like think about how I want to progress or how I want to engage and with that kind of stuff. And the more I dive into this, like this hobby that I have with creating videos, because that's what this is for me. Like I don't, I can show you how much money, I lose money doing these videos more than anything else. Dude. Like it's like the cost. Like, granted, I have expensive gear, but like it'll take me the amount of money that I make from YouTube doing this versus how much money I've spent on the gear alone, it would take me decades to get out of the debt hole. If what, you know what I mean? Like if this was a thing that I did for debt, like if I didn't, don't use debt to, bad idea. If you can't, anyways, that's a whole other topic. But anyways, like this is purely a hobby for me, man. Like I enjoy engaging with the community, and it's a way for me to chat with people that I don't normally get to chat with, kind of thing. But like it's wild, man. Like so to not waste your time, but to do something that's just like not great. And this is something we could talk about too, because this is actually from our chat from before that we had, right? Where people were like, oh, if you don't like it, you should make a video about it. And it's like, God, but that's like a week of my time doing something that I'm not enjoying, that I'm like.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing videos on stuff you didn't enjoy. I'm not saying that, because I know it gives the false impression. I think they're important, but I'm with you. I'm like, if something's just flat out bad,
well, I don't want to waste my time doing it. Like,
right.
But if someone asks me, I'll tell you. Like, if I've heard something, then and I said it, I don't think it's good, then I'll tell you my God honest truth. I'm not a rich guy, but I'll tell you my truth about it. Like, I
gotta say this because you brought it up. I honestly thought about doing this as a fun video, but the Susvara Unveiled video that I'm gonna do is gonna cost me about $400 because I had so I got the original Susvara from a buddy on HeadPhi that sent it to me, and I told him I'll cover the shipping for it because I needed to compare.
Well, because now you have to pay for insurance.
I had to pay for insurance and the shipping on that, and I got to send it back to him. Yeah. So I'm paying for that. Yeah. That Kitsune Hi-Fi, they let me borrow the Holo stack.
Oh, the whole stack. That's right. That's expensive.
That's hell of expensive to ship. So $400 in shipping. Yeah. Just to listen to all this for this video. I was like, there's a video idea in there, just because I think it's important for people to know that, because I could, you get a bad rap sometimes. Right, oh, it's a YouTuber. They just send you everything. Well, I'm like,
they just send you everything. It's you're making all this money. Like, I think ETA, he saw it. I posted it in one of there's like a Discord I was in, and someone was like, oh, YouTubers, they get all this, they make all this money. I was like, dude, let me show you how much I make on YouTube. Yeah. And so they're like, holy dude, that's not even worth it. Yeah. I was like, no, it's not.
It's just something fun to do. I mean,
so the way the YouTube works too is they only pay out once you hit a threshold. And that threshold is usually, I think, it's $100. So once you hit $100 threshold, then they'll send you a payment, right?
Right.
But so the way that works is, God, what is it? Is it dashboard? I don't know how to do it on my phone. On my computer, it shows you. But so like, I mean, I think it was something like every 3 to 6 months. I think it's depending on how many videos I do and how much engagement I do. But like on average, I make. So for instance, I'm almost up to my next payment. Like I'm like cents away from my next payment. But like, I don't know if you can see this, but is there anything personal, private? No. Okay. To make sure, but like, so I'm almost to $100, right? I don't know if you can see this, but like, so my last payment was April 22nd. I got $125.18 on April 22nd, 2024. The payment before that was December 21st, 2023 for $1 less.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you see a lot of these guys that are making videos like 2-3 times a week, because that's the only way you really can.
You have to be grinding, man.
You have to be. Yeah. But
and even then,
job, like
no.
I don't have time for that, but it's just fun. It's a way to flex the creative muscle, because I, enjoy doing that too. So.
Yeah. And I think that's the other fun thing. Like I've been thinking about that a lot as well. Like I think the people that are most successful in the YouTube game, one, they do it because it's not because they love the hobby, like not necessarily the Headphone YouTube game, but like every YouTube game, right? Like I think they also just love making videos. Like they love like that process of like how I love taking photos. I'm a big photography guy. I love photos way more than videos. But and then the editing, they have to love editing. You have to love like diving into edits and figuring out how to do like the cool crop ins and like for me, my ADHD kicks in and I'm just like, oh, that's a lot of fluff. Like I just want to make video, post it, hit the quick button, make it look decent, and
Right.
so like I know I have a hard cap. Like I don't think I'm never gonna be I'm okay with that. I prefer to be small with a small community of like people that I can engage with and stuff like that. But like you have to have that desire and passion for not just the thing that you're talking about, but also the creation of the video and the editing of a video. You have to have a proper drive and desire for it. Like you almost have to be a cinephile to some level, right? Like, I don't know.
No, I agree. I mean, I enjoy doing the videos. Editing can get frustrating sometimes, but even that can be fun. But
Yeah.
it just kind of depends. I mean, I'll tell you, like I just did the last video I did updated to that DaVinci 19, and it was crashing on me like crazy. And I finally figured out my hard drive. Stupid me! I bought a budget NVMe drive, and it took a dump on me. That's what my problem was. So I just installed a new one today, so I should be fine. But that took me like 10 hours to edit that video, and
Wild.
not worth it. I mean, but whatever.
I mean, I don't know if you can, I don't know if I can show this, but like here, how's this work? Here we go. So I have my editing rig, which is my Apple MacBook. That's like for my photos, everything else. So I don't know if you can see this. I have like 3 stacks. So I have a backup drive, which is like a hybrid drive, like SSD hard drive. And then I have an SSD drive that I do all my video. It's like a 2 terabyte SSD that I do all my editing off of.
Yep.
And then I have another 2 terabyte SSD up here, which I do all my photo editing off of. And I take that on the go with me for photo editing and stuff. So that's kind of like my general.
Yeah. I've got a similar thing like that too. But yeah, it's just a lot into it. I put in the chat there just in case anybody was wanting to discuss anything else on CanJam about. I'm just curious what other guys are interested in checking out too, because like you said, I mean, I don't know everything that's going to be there either. I haven't been as up to date on it as I used to be.
Yeah, I think it's just like, what's the word for it? Like, I'm just not that. Maybe I'm just not that excited for a lot of stuff that's coming. I like the Boca Open. I'm excited to hear that, but I'm also a ZMF. Like, I love ZMF. Like I think that's my other problem with like this specific hobby. We were talking about it a little bit earlier or earlier today. We were chatting, and I feel like with where I'm at with my headphones, I'm very content. Like, so for something like there's nothing that's like, you know what I mean? Like I've hit in game, I guess, if you want to say, not that there's an in game, but like I've hit what I feel is enough, or I feel like is satisfying to me. So I'm just not finding like new things don't bring me the same enjoyment. Like nothing's really beating what I have. So it's kind of like not lost its appeal, but lost its like shine a little bit to some level. Cause I'm just happy listening to music now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not chasing the dragon, I guess is what it goes down to.
Yeah, no, I completely get that. And David, yes, he just mentioned the Aegis. I'm hoping, I know I don't want to speak for Zach. Oh, well, I can speak for Zach. He told me he was going to try to send me one here at some point. So I am hoping to get some extra time with that. Schiit does attend.
Yes, they do. They'll be there.
Josh. Yes.
Jason is even there. Usually the first, you'll see Jason wandering around usually.
Yeah, he is. And I know I didn't watch his last video, but I think they're officially migrated now to Texas.
Yeah, Texas. Yeah, they're Texas. I had that long chat with them while we were last CanJam. I remember I went over and was chatting with him. And he's all excited about all the Texas wines and whatnot that he's been trying. And
nice.
He's a big wine guy.
Josh is looking for a new solid state amp and DAC combo.
What's budget? What's your preference? Audio, sound, signature? What kind of music do you listen to? Like, there's a whole lot of more things you gotta ask. Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that'll go into that one.
Oh wow, the CanJam SoCal shirt looks kind of dope this year.
It does. Yeah, they did a really nice job with that. I mean, all of them, honestly. I really like the Singapore one. I don't know if you ever saw that. But I was like, can I just buy that? Even though I'm not going to Singapore.
God, I'd love to coincide a trip to Singapore to CanJam, man. I love Singapore. I've only been once, but man, it was such a cool trip. Loved it.
Yeah.
It was a
Well, you
beautiful
saw
city.
they're going to Hong Kong 2025. Or I don't
Oh,
know if you
really?
saw it, but they are.
Instead of Singapore?
No, I think
Adding it
they're
to the
adding it.
list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think they have like 7 CanJams next year. I don't know if that's normal or if that's more
Jeez.
or less. But
I think they're adding. There's cranking them out, huh?
I wish Chicago would come back, but it won't.
Oh, they replaced Chicago. Oh, you know why? It's because they have Axpona there. I
Yeah,
bet that's
Axpona
too much competition.
And that attendance just wasn't compared to everything else. I get it.
I'm surprised they have the Texas one too. I heard that one was pretty sparse too, so I'm wondering if they're going to continue that one.
I know they have it this year, but
I know last year, like I remember people were saying it was like pretty empty, like it was just like nobody there. But I mean, that was just from hearsay. I didn't really. I think I saw a couple pictures where it looked pretty sparse. But I remember one of the New York. I mean, it was like post the one I went to New York. It was that post COVID, and that was pretty sparse. I remember that was like one of the lower ones too. But that was also post COVID though, so I don't know how that.
It's
weird. I don't see
it's pretty packed. So
this year, yeah, I heard the New York this year is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
What's the? I don't see a vendor list. Where's the?
They had it on their. Let me go to the page.
Oh, exhibit maybe? Nope. I'm trying to find the exhibit list to see if I can't see who's going and whatnot, or like what they're. Usually they have like a map of the floor, the show floor too. Maybe it's too early.
I was trying to see if they had like the seminars, but they don't have that posted yet.
Even okay, yeah, it's just too early. Okay.
Yeah, exhibitors. They've got. Yeah, there's a lot.
You know what's funny is I never do the exhibitors that are like in the hotel itself. It's very rare for me to like go to a room. You know what I'm talking about? How they'll have like a room set up.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. I just never. Maybe it's like the free candy version of audiophile shows.
I tell you, one I did write it down was the Cayenne's got a new tube amp, and they have a new DAP. I've heard that's I think it's a tube DAP. Actually.
Yep, I saw that. It looked really cool.
And
dude, honestly, there's another company that's just like, yeah, like they man, I've yet to be disappointed.
on a video of mine, and it said
I only have this one left.
Oh yeah, well, and somebody commented on a video. I don't remember what video it was. It may have not even been a Cayenne video, and they said something about engineering for Chi-Fi amps is crap compared to German or something. I'm like, have you heard Cayenne products? Have you touched a Cayenne product? Like,
yeah, because they're
made very well.
Dude, they remind me of. So you've had the Holo stuff now in house.
Yeah.
So I think Holo's next level on their build. Like but it's very simple. Like Holo to me is like the high end shit stuff. Does that make sense?
No, it does actually. No,
like as far as build, like it's like the look and aesthetic. But I also think Holo looks way better. Like Holo is exceptionally better. I love
the black and orange.
The copper, the big copper plates on the
copper. Yeah,
so sexy.
Yeah.
Reminds me of like a Deckard Cain, like audio. Deckard Cain, like not Deckard Cain. Yeah, Deckard Cain from Blade Runner. Like if he had an audio, like I could see him drinking some Jack Daniels, whatever that.
If there was one nitpick I would give to like the Cyan 2, because I told you I bought that one, is the lights. I wish they had a way to turn the light. They are so damn bright.
Yeah. You can get you can do there's a little film but it's hard. I did it for some other things before. I think it was like a shit product actually. But you can get the little films that are like that one-sided tape, and then you just kind of cut out a little pinhole of it, and you can like put it in there. But it's a pain in the butt. Like,
I gotcha.
So real quick, I wanted to touch on Josh D. He said he listened to everything, more fun sound. If you can go the price range, I'm actually listening. It's actually my daily. I'm actually listening to it right now. I don't know if I can even pick it up and show you. It might be too. Well, here, I'll just move my camera. But let's see here. Don't get sick on me. It's that right there. So this is the.
Oh, I know what that is. Yeah.
This is the Nitsch.
Yep.
Pietis Maximus. So you can kind of, using my flashlight. Nitsch Pietis Maximus, and it's basically it's basically a Schiit product, right? Like it's a collaboration between Nitsch and Schiit, where he took some of their designs and he's basically built them out and they're like really hard to find components, and he just builds out limited runs of these things. And he's another great dude that makes super good stuff. He's been in the space, in the industry forever. He was one of the original Drop audio guys, and he did a bunch of other stuff for Drop. He was like their product guy. He has Pietis Maximus. There you go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Honestly, that's like my daily driver, man.
I guess my question to that is, so if he has it, what are you wanting to get different then? Because I know you had mentioned...
If you want something different, I would say the biggest thing you could do, if you wanted to keep this, I would say change the DAC, like maybe switch to the R2R if you don't have the R2R in there, or get another DAC entirely. Like the Cyan 2, that's within your budget, that's a very expensive one, but that would be a dope combo, and you could stack it on top of the Cyan 2. Yeah, see, you know, man. Like that Pietis Maximus, I always say Pietis Maximus with that IEM, especially that little switch where you can go down. Like, dude, honestly, like this thing is dang near perfect, man. Like, as far as like just for me, anyways, my preferences and my the aesthetic look of it, I love it. Like, it's dope. It sounds great. I even have the ESS in there, which is, if you know me, like I do not like ESS sound.
Sterile.
And whatever. Yeah. And it combined with that is like, it's fantastic. Another good DAC you can swap out there. Looking for resolution. So which DAC do you have in there? Because if you have the ESS DAC, that will bring up some of the detail. But if you have the R2R, it will bring up more of the bass and mids and become a little more lush and warm and kind of like, I don't want to say gooey, but it'll be more fluid, I guess. Like the audiophile terms are so freaking weird.
Yeah.
It's so gooey and fluid.
They are.
But it's so liquid. But
I agree. So looking for more resolution, more power, more and maybe.
Okay, so if you want just more, use it with the Bifrost 2 now. Okay, so
I understand why you want more soundstage.
Yeah, I see why you want more soundstage. Bifrost 2 does not do stage at all. Yeah, if you can, I would even say, because this thing has tons of power, like the Pietis. I would say look at doing a Cyan 2, or maybe like a used Spring 2 or a Spring. By the way, the Springs though, these are Holo stuff, Holo audio. They're huge. Like these are big DACs. Like they're legit massive things. The Cyan's actually smaller. In fact, but that would be something I would look at. If you wanted an all-in-one replacement for this, if you can find one, the original Cyan from Holo was an all-in-one DAC amp combo that's basically the same thing, but it's gorgeous, dude. It's the same black with the copper. And it has these really cool LED lights.
Yeah, I mean, I'll chime in there, Josh, and tell you that I kind of went through that same transition myself. I love the Bifrost 2, but I did too.
I had a Bifrost 2
stage out of it, so that's why I got rid of mine and got the Cyan 2. Dude, I don't regret a second of that. I love the Cyan 2, and I'm still debating on doing a video on it just because I think DAC videos are hard to do, but that's a poor excuse. But I love the Cyan 2. It's got better stage. It's got that R2R sound. Yeah. It pairs up with a lot of things very nice. I got to imagine with Pietis, it's going to pair up really well. I tried it on my Midgard. That was awesome. So it's a definite recommendation. But yeah, you're right. $1,000, and then you got to factor in shipping is not cheap. Yeah.
And then, the thing with the Cyans or the Holo stuff, you could even go earlier. Like, so the Cyan 2 is basically a beefed up Spring 2.
Yeah.
And they shrunk it down and put it into a small form factor. And that's not accurate. I'm just trying to give you like an idea of what the equivalent level. So like the Spring 3 is obviously still going to be better than the Cyan, but the Cyan is based right there. And then or you can go find yourself like a used spring one, like the original spring. Like those are, I mean, if you can find a good deal on those, like that would be a great, because that's the thing with a lot of these DACs, man. Like and actually Tyler just says here, is there any meaningful difference between the three levels? There is. It's mostly a component thing, and like, but back to this, I'll touch on it some more. I just want to say I saw that, and I think it'd be a good topic to kind of touch on. But the spring, like the difference between DACs as you progress is like it's not that big. Like,
no.
I would say, like I was talking about the Cyan 2, like buy that, you forget about DACs. I mean, I say this for all the time, like have a budget, max it out, buy the DAC, and then forget about it for 5 to 10 years. Like, I mean, if you can, like a lot of people, you get the chase the dragon factor, right? And ooh, new shiny, that kind of thing. But
yep. So I'll tell you this, Tyler, I've like I said, I've got the Hollow May and Bliss stack here.
Yeah, so you have the top. And then you have the Cyan 2.
I was listening to the Susvara, all right, on the Hollow stack, and I get it. It's audio memory, but I went to my other room and listened on the Cyan 2.
Probably on par.
Not a big difference.
Yeah.
Not to where I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd definitely rather it. No, the Cyan 2 was so close to that DAC-wise. I'm like, yeah.
Dude, I've had the Hollow May Tier 3 against my TT2. And then I had the Bifrost 2, and I think I had some other, like, I had the RME, like an AKM DAC. And so, like, you can hear a difference in, like, the resolution, the staging, but you have to have the gear chain to actually do that, too, as well. Like, so, like, Susvara, that kind of thing. So you have to have the chain to be able to hear those differences, too, which is very gatekeepy of me to say that, and I'm sorry to say it. I hate that I have to say that.
But it's true. I mean,
but it is kind of true. Like, it's but at the same, but you can also use that in a way to be like, oh, well, I don't need to have that high end stuff, so I can be happy with this stuff, right? Like you think of it that way, and it's like, oh, half glass full rather than half empty kind of thing. But it's like at the end of the day, like it's very minimal differences, and that's even just in DACs, even across the board. Like once you hear it, it's hard to unhear it, kind of thing. Yeah. But it's also one of those things that if you go long enough, you'll forget about it. You won't, I mean, you'll have like a thing like, oh yeah, this was really good, but you won't be able to explain why it was really good.
Right. Well, and I think you get a bigger, just in my experience anyway, I get a bigger difference in the amps. But I will say when I had the Bifrost 2, the problem I was having there was I wasn't getting a big enough difference in staging, and that's why I ended up going to the Cyan 2, because the Bifrost 2 did hold back some of my amps from, like, I'm listening to my HA3A now on the Cyan 2 compared to the Bifrost. I'm like, oh wow, there's that stage that I was missing before. So there is that part of it.
Gotcha. And then, so back to the Tyler thing. I want to touch this real fast because I actually have chatted with Kitsune Audio about the tiers, like the tier 1, 2, and 3. Because he actually lives north of me, so I've actually met up with him and hung out with him, and we chatted. Nice. And he explains what the difference was. And so those guys are like component, and I'm going to be not divisive. I keep using divisive for some reason today. I'm going to be kind of a crude and say they're kind of like component nerds, those guys. And so and that's not a bad thing. Like they go deep on the components as far as the thing. So like the different tiers are basically like tier 1 is like they had a budget and they wanted to hit that budget, so they use the components to hit that budget. Same with tier 2. And then tier 3 is always like, who gives a rat's ass? Let's put everything, the best of the best. Let's go full nerd and put all the best components and put them in perfectly with the best materials, the best like solder, the best like. So that's really what it is. So if you were thinking in like a car scenario, like it would be like, the Acura is it the SH? That's the hot top of the line for Acura. Like, I don't know what the tiers on cars are, but they'd be like the top of the line model version of something versus like the entry level model. It's like, it comes down to, and it would be like, I guess, here you go. Like it's a Mustang, right? So it's like the bare bones Mustang versus the Mustang GT Mach 3, where they have all these crazy superchargers in it. There's all this other stuff versus something that's just a V6, that's how I would explain it for the tiers. And how much of that makes a big difference? It depends on the person driving it. It depends on the person,
Yeah.
you know. So like,
but I think that's an interesting point because I'm not not an electrical engineer. I'm not a sound engineer. I'm not anything fancy like that. And I know there's all kinds of debate about electronics or electronics, and a wire is a wire, and blah blah blah. And because I, saw that on, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but I'm just going to say it. Like I watched part of Super Reviews did a review on the Tungsten. Okay. And he did not like the Tungsten. And he said in his video that he drove it off of the, crap.
Don't tell me it was like a dongle or something.
No, it's like JDS Labs Element 3, which is a great DAC amp.
Oh, that's a fantastic amp, but that's not very powerful.
Right. He drove it off of that, and then he also had, I think it was the Diablo X or something from IFI. And he was getting some flack on the video because they're like, you can't drive that headphone on that and expect to get the most out of it. And his debate on that was electronics are electronics, and the specs are the specs, and it should have drove it just fine, and that's my story. No, I've heard it. I mean, that's where that whole debate comes in about and I'm not pulling him into a measurement guy. I'm not saying that, but the measurement guys of, the measurement should sound like the measurement no matter what the components are, and that's when you mention components, that's that stuck to me because I feel like that's part of it too. Yeah, electronics is electronic, but use higher end components, it's going to make a difference.
It's so that I guess that car analogy works for that as well, right? Like, so, like go drive a V6 or a four banger Mustang, and then go jump in a Cobra, a Mustang Cobra, and tell me that a car's a car. Like they both have gas and brake, and maybe a clutch or an automatic, whatever. But they just hit the gas, you go; hit the brake, you stop. And then you tell me that there's no I mean, so there's that, but at the same time, I also feel like that there is something to be said about it's a balance, right? Like
it is.
I don't think either side is you should never go extreme. I guess that's the biggest thing, right? Don't ever go to the extreme of either side, because there's always more to every story. There's always more to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I see the points to both of it, and with that, like I said, my experience here at home with that headphone was I listened to it on my IHA 6, which has a lot of power, and then I listened to it on the Holo Stack, which has unlimited power, whatever you want to call it, but I mean a lot of power, and there's a pretty big difference in how that headphone sounded when it was amped properly.
And this is not accurate.
All headphones are that way, so
no. Yeah, there's very few headphones that need, when I say need, I mean need power. And you can count them on one hand, probably even. It's the Susvara, there's the HE560, and then there's most of them are Hyphaman, which is hilarious.
HE6,
the HE6, and there's is the 560, I think, is the other one, or there's another one that's ridiculously hard to drive. There's the Tungsten, and then I think there's another one. I know the raw stuff is you need a proper speaker amp, you need a ton of power, and usually they have some weird inverse power thing where you can't just have it be just plugged in. But that's a very niche. The raw stuff is very niche. It's very, very specific environment. You can't really interchange a lot of stuff with their stuff. So it's very rare for you to need that. But speaking on that power, another analogy of it would be torque versus horsepower, right? Not that this is accurate. This is not it's because that would be saying volts versus amps, or the amps. You know what I mean? It's not the same. It doesn't equate. But as far as to give an analogy that might help someone think about it more, it's saying I need more a more power, in a drag strip versus a drag strip power versus a rally car power, right? Or where those the rally trucks, the car races with the crazy super trucks, talking about they go through the desert, and they're going 100 and something miles an hour, but it looks like they're going on pavement. It's wild that they're going across basically open desert. So it's just different power delivery, I guess, really what it comes down to.
Well, and synergy. I mean,
synergy.
Look at ZMF. My atrium closed. there's some amps I think it sounds honestly not very good on because
dude.
certain things have to open it up. I mean, you've heard it.
Yeah.
If it gets opened up,
yeah, it's
it
great.
sounds good.
Synergy matters greatly. Agreed. Yeah, so I think synergy is actually more important than anything else. Outside of certain like scenarios, like we just said, where you need the power. But I agree. I think synergy is way more important.
It's important, and then that's the other unfortunate thing is that's where I feel bad for some people when they get something they really like, and then somebody tries to trash it.
Oh, just trash it.
You don't listen to it right. You're not synergizing. Well, you know what? If they like it,
they like it. But synergy is a preference thing as well. Like that's your synergy, your preference. Like so, yeah. Like when I say synergy, like that oh man, yeah. You just put that's a rabbit hole right there, man. Like so when I say synergy, I don't mean that there's a definitive synergy for everything because everyone's unique and everyone has their own preferences and biases, right? And when I say everyone's unique, I mean we all hear sound the same, right? We don't. We do, but we don't. Like there's so your anatomy, your experiences, your everything will play and factor into your brain because your brain matters more than anything else because your brain will auto EQ things to sound a certain way. That's why things sound off when you first get them because your brain's trying to reconfigure or kind of figure out it's trying to bring the sound to what you want it to sound like, I guess, if that makes sense. Have you ever watched any of those YouTube videos or videos where they kind of do like the sound tricks where they'll do like close your eyes and listen to it, then open your eyes and watch it and you'll hear different things and like it's the same sound, but you'll hear different. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like your brain tries to reconcile things for you. And your experiences and how things, your anatomy, everything will change how that works. So every person will have a different mild difference, not like massive difference, but they'll have different ways they hear things.
Absolutely.
And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not I'm just me because I find it interesting. I think it's fascinating, but like that plays into it a lot. So that your synergy is what you synergize with yourself in the how they produce the sound and how so I went down a weird rabbit hole, man. I'm sorry.
Well, no, and I think that's why, a lot of times they'll tell you, always focus on the headphone or the IM first, which is very true because you could drive yourself crazy trying to find an amp or DAC that's going to sound good with this headphone you love. Don't do that.
Yeah.
just move, maybe move on and try something else instead because that's a lot cheaper than this other rabbit hole you get down
chasing that dragon like our boy Josh said. And so Josh, that's exactly how I got into this hobby. I had a kid. I was starting to go down the speaker hobby, and then I was like, oh, I have a kid, I can't listen to music, I need or I can't play video games, I can't, like, that was really what it was. I couldn't play video games, so I switched to headphones. And I started going, I need more fidelity. There's more to it than just Astro A50, whatever, or A40, whatever the Astros or whatever the top of the line gaming headphone as this headset was at the time. And I went hard on that. And that now we're here with.
Exact same thing. And he's asking, Josh was asking about the Holo Red. So I have the Holo Red. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go down somewhat of a little bit of a rabbit hole and try out Rune and doing some different things there. So that's one of the benefits of the Holo Red, I will tell you, is being able to use the Rune ecosystem with other things and being able to see if you notice differences of DSD and PCM and all that crazy stuff that I haven't even dove that much deeper into, but it is nice.
Don't go into HQ player too, man. That's a whole nother freaking crazy rabbit hole.
No, I've read just the high-end CPU and GPU machines you need for some of that stuff.
Dude, our gaming rigs can't even barely run those things.
It's nuts.
So speaking on that, like the streaming Rune thing, like I want to touch on that. Like the Runes, like I love Rune. I think Rune is an amazing piece of software.
Agreed.
But death by subscription, man. Like I have to, I'm going down this crazy, like I just can't. I want to pay for the lifetime, and I missed it because I almost bought it back when it was like $300 to $400, and I was like, $300 to $400, and it was stupid because I totally had the money to do it, and it was like a stupid thing. I could have just, and now do they even offer it anymore, lifetime, or is it all subscription?
No, they offer the lifetime. It's like
$700.
Yeah, but what I've been told, and this is what I'm going to do myself, is around Black Friday, usually there's some type of big discount, and if they do it, I'm jumping on it because I'm same. I don't want to keep paying
Hit
for
me up
that
with that,
and
dude.
Tidal.
If you see it, let me know, man. I'll jump on it too.
Yeah, I'll let you know because I do like it. It is really nice using it. I've got all my stuff organized on there now, and what's nice is when you go to CanJam and things, they seem to all use Rune in
Rune, yeah.
some form, so can get very familiar with it.
And that's where, and so the other thing that Rune does really well is if you have a lot of your own FLAC files, it integrates that with the streaming service of your preference. And then it's just, there's so much information that they dump at you. So if you're one to like sit at a computer, right, and listen, like with headphones, it's wild. You can listen to the music and there'll be like these little like things that you can click on and like read about the artist, about the music, about that specific track sometimes. And then it'll recommend other tracks that are similar. And like, there's a really cool ecosystem with Rune where it like, you can go full like rabbit hole for hours, just like reading it. And like, you'll go on like a journey of like different artists. And like, it's kind of wild. Like it's a really cool software.
It is.
If you get into it, and it's very capable. It's one of the most capable softwares out there.
And I have noticed, it took me a bit to figure it out, but there are some tracks that I'll listen to through Rune that, it's all through Tidal. I get it, but Tidal does do some added compression that I didn't realize before. And there's some things I've listened to through Rune. I'm like, oh, that sounds better. Not like miles.
Because it will decompress it. Yeah.
Better. Yeah.
And Rune does have a, what do they call that? It's almost like an EQ profile thing, but it's not. It's like, but they do some magic with the audio. There's a couple softwares that do that. There's like that do like a streaming, like that work like a Rune that have what's the other one? There's another one that's like real popular that would do that, where it would like kind of up-res it basically.
Right. Well, HQ Player I know can do some of that too.
It was kind of like an Auravana, or is it Auravana?
It might
or Audiovana.
That sounds familiar too.
I think that was the other one that was like really popular for a while there. Audiovana. Audiovana. Yeah, Audiovana. Enjoy all your streaming and local music with the best playback sound quality from your computer. Sure. Yeah, Audiovana. I think they changed the name. Audirvana. I think that's one of them.
Okay.
And so they're like a Rune alternative is what they're chasing, but Rune's still better, as I recall, as far as for like that, the knowledge and like you can go into endpoint, like, so if you have like multi-room listening, like all sorts of stuff, like Rune's really good at endpoints, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it. It's nice. Definitely. The other thing I actually wrote down, because I thought this was really interesting. I did a poll on my channel this past week, and I just wanted to have some fun. So I did a high-end gear poll, and I said, what is the most important? Is it the headphone? Is it the amp or DAC? Or is it the mood? And I threw mood in there with like
I clicked mood.
A picture of a whiskey bottle because I'm like...
I did the mood.
You and a lot of other people. So the funniest thing that came out... I knew the headphone was going to win. I mean,
Transducer always is the main thing.
Right. Yeah. Headphone IM is always going to win. But what surprised me was the mood actually got rated higher than the amp or DAC.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it got me thinking. I was like, yeah, that is true. Because, if I sit down, if I'm not into it, especially if I want to like analyze something for a review, if I'm not feeling into it, if I have had a shit day at work or something like that, forget it. I'm just not going to do it because...
agreed. That's like my summers. Like when we started this video today, this channel. Remember, I was like, "Oh, summers are rough because like I just don't have the time. I don't have like and then my brain isn't into it. I'm just not. It's hot. Like there's all these other factors, and I'm just like I'd rather be doing other things. Like, and not that I don't enjoy listening to music. I love listening. It's like I still come home at the end of the day, and I always find time to like sit and like it's my kind of like zen, I guess, or like kind of way to like wind down and kind of relax and just kind of like, and like listen to a bunch of music. And then I listen to probably, 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of music a week.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
same.
Because I just have it always on. Like it's been that way since I was a little kid. My dad always had music playing in the background constantly. And so it's just like, it's a comfort thing too, But that being said, like, I don't always want to have something coupled. Like right now, my ears I feel they're hot. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's,
that's why people like IEMs. So
Yeah,
I get that part.
and IEMs though, man. Like, oof. I mean, I like IEMs, but I'm if I could, I guess this is how it'd be. If I had my way and everything was like the perfect scenario, I would listen to speakers first, then headphones, and then IEMs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And that actually reminded me of another, Josh was asking a benefit of the Holo Red. So one reason that I decided to get the Holo Red is I've got a gaming PC, and that's where I listened to all of my music for, doing testing and just for enjoyment and all of that. And what I was finding was, I'm playing a game or something sometime, and it all takes processing power, and you can get noise introducing things. Well, guess what? I got the Holo Red, and now I've got that off to the right on my desk, so I'll listen to music, and I'll still play my games, and they're disconnected from each other. And I don't know how much of a benefit that is, but it's definitely more of a benefit than not, because you're taking it away from a noisy
isolating.
computer. Right. So that's the other nice benefit about it too.
And you could do that without the streamer. There's these other things, these other products that do that as well. But it's like what are those called? Wow, my brain just totally slipped. It's like, because I don't use them, but they're like it's like not a DAC, but it's considered it basically acts like a DAC in essence, but it's all it is doing is separating. Like you pull the data. It's basically acts like a streamer, but it doesn't have a streaming capability. It's just literally pulling from your computer, taking it all in there, and then pushing it to your DAC, and then to your and you can like redo it. Like you can basically use it to do coaxial, that kind of stuff. So like it'll change it from a digital to an analog signal for you, kind of thing. It's
Donald's
like
saying LAN isolator.
Kind of like that, but it's there's a specific name for it. It was like for a while there, like all the high end people were like, you have to have it if you want the best sound, and it was like, I remember, and they were expensive, as I recall.
Well, it's audio.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like a transport of some sort. It's not like it's kind of like that. Like it's called like a transport audio.
Yeah, you got me. I'm not sure.
I can't remember the name of it. Like a lot of there's a bunch of people that got way into it and just like are. It's basically acts like a streamer. But it's basically like the Holo Red, but it doesn't have the streaming capability.
Josh,
yeah,
you're looking at that. Oh, DDC. Okay.
DDC. Thank you. That's it. Josh nailed it. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
I knew it was like DAC, but it was like DDC. Yeah, DDC. It's DDC. You nailed it.
Yeah. And actually, there's some dongles like the iBasso DC Elite that I have can be a DDC. Now that he mentions that, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Oh, we missed Tyler's thing here. Great name, by the way. No. But makes sense. Been slowly building my setup, trying to find a good DAC that pairs well with the Ferrum or an Hypsis. So that one, they have a DAC, the Ferrum DAC. Don't they have a Ferrum DAC? Like, do you just not want to have that full stack? Maybe. If not, I would say
the Wandla, and then there's the Golden Sound one, right?
It's the same thing. It just has his name on it, as I recall. I'm sorry. Was I being a jerk there? My bad.
I know he did some added things to it. I don't know what, but yeah.
I mean, once again, we just talked about the DAC thing, right? So
Dude,
I mean,
go with your thought, but I actually have a thought on that too. But go ahead.
Oh, now I totally lost it. But like, you're good. So if you didn't want the Ferrum DAC, the Wandla or whatever, you don't want to have a GS horn on your thing. I mean, who wants a horn on a thing? But I'm joking. He's a why am I forgetting his name? But Golden Sound is
he's a good dude. Cameron?
Nice dude.
No, he is.
Cameron, yeah, he's a nice guy. So I would say the red. Like I honestly like that not red. The Cyan 2. Words. The Cyan 2, honestly, like I mean you have it now, like you bought it. Like if I didn't have a Spring 3 level 3, I would have a Cyan 2. Like, and even now, I've been ever since having the Cyan 2 in, I've been contemplating selling my Spring 3 to just get a Cyan or even 2 Cyans, because that's the equivalent price point. And then just have those as my 2 DACs everywhere. Like, 'cause I have a setup downstairs that my Spring 3's on for my big speakers, and like I'd put a Cyan 2 there and a Cyan 2 up here. And even then, like I'm thinking the TT2, like I'm like it just powers my Kess right now. And like I'm trying to think like maybe I don't even need the TT2 anymore, and maybe I move that along and just have the Cyans and I mean, because those things, it's one of those products it's not great. It's not like the best of the best. You kind of lose out on some of the functionality with not having any control on it, like because it does everything for you. So that can be problematic for some people. Right. But as a set it and forget it and not even have to think about it, which I think personally is how I'd want to use my DAC. Is like, yeah, it's a great product, man. Like it's
yeah, that's my only negative with the Cyan 2 is just what you said. Is I've got my HA3A and my IHA8 plugged into it. I just don't want to leave them both on because it feeds both whatever you plug into it. So you got to leave an amp off if you don't want it to be fed in both.
And yeah, there's something about like it's supposed to auto switch. It's supposed to have a bunch of like built-in like auto switching into it. And when I was messing with it, like I'm a big Neanderthal man. Like I don't like, so I'm like, work good, like, or don't work good, and then I can forget about it. But like, I don't know. Like for me, like it worked. But that was the thing. That's why I would almost want two, or like, if that seems ridiculous, but I'd be selling something to basically buy two for anyways. And you just don't think about it because it almost does have that thing where, like you're saying, you have to unplug something to make it work with multiple products. Or you get a switch.
I was gonna say that's what I have. I've got a XLR switch box on top of it, and I just switch it over to whichever DAC or not DAC, whichever amp.
And you can get those from Amazon for like nothing. So.
Yes, yeah, and they work just fine.
Have you ever opened up a switch? Like, let me tell you, like it's a bunch of wires. It's an empty box. Yeah. So anyone that does you different is like, but
quality streamer Josh is asking. I don't know. I can't answer that. I know there's ones that are like $200. The WIIM, something like that people like so much.
The WIM Ultra. I want to buy that. I'm thinking about buying it because I have a bunch of is it Amazon points? Like I have like how you get points for using your credit card. So I have enough to like, and mine's tied to Amazon. So what a brilliant marketing, but also like horrible for me. So I end up buying like random things. So the WIM Ultra is on my list, and I was thinking about replacing my TT2 with the WIM Ultra as for this setup back here for my Kess.
So non-audio thing, but since you mentioned Amazon points, this is what I bought with Amazon points.
Oh, nice.
This thing is sweet.
That's pretty dope.
So,
little desktop setup and also carry around, right?
I think it's called like a Mantis or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's just an easy switch, and you can do like the whole selfie.
Mine's like
or whatever.
Giant tripod thing I have right here.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, dude. I am the tangent ADHD guy, so I get it.
Now, the other thing I was going to bring up though, since we were talking about golden sound in positive light, is all the collaborations. Like it's gone nuts.
Everyone does those, man.
Either collaborations or just people now doing their own stuff. When I first got in this hobby, which wasn't really
frowned upon heavily. Yeah, it was very frowned upon.
But now it's just like everybody. Like I can't remember. I saw an IEM, and I couldn't even tell you the guy's name, but I recognized the name from YouTube, and he's not even anybody really big, and he's got a collab on an IEM. Like, holy, okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just old school, but like, and once again, like I just don't like. I come from a weird world of like I guess it would be more like, I don't want to say these people are morally corrupt or like, that's not what I'm trying to say is like because it's a very individual thing. Like my morals or my beliefs feed my intent of like, if I was to go and do a collaboration, for instance, right? Or if I was to go work for a company, for instance, then I would probably not do reviews or I guess I don't really do reviews. I like to think of them as opinion pieces because I'm not a professional. Like I have access to things that I like to talk about them. I like engaging with people. But like, I think that's where you kind of run into some problems, and there's some ethical issues there. Right. And and I come from a world where, that's a big deal. Like I worked in the government for a long time, worked as military, like, and then my wife worked a lot of that stuff too in corporate world. And there's a code of ethics that you have to follow. And so like, it was a very big deal. Like you can't take so much payment for X, Y, and Z thing from a company, because then it can be seen as bribery, or it can be seen as, it's a big deal, especially in the government, that kind of thing. And so like that always ran like counter to what my experiences with that kind of thing in my other world of life, so that's why I feel like, and I'm not saying these guys are bad. This is not something I'm an expert on. I'm just talking from my perspective. So, I don't know. Like that's.
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing on it is, like we were talking earlier with YouTube, that there's just not a lot of money in it. I mean, unless you really grind it. So in that sense, I get some of the collaboration stuff because, hey, you know what? I can make extra bit on it. But you're right. When you're putting your name on something, be careful.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's you're getting into different territory there, and there's just so much of it now.
And like, here's the thing, like you just said, man, like I think there's a lot of people that make this their living. Like they literally pay, like they feed their families with this stuff. See, Hobby. Yeah.
Hey, Hobby Talk. What's going on, man?
Yeah, like he just said too. There's that too. You're literally just slapping a name on something, and it's like, kind of like we were just talking about before too, where it's like the Susvara Unveiled. Like you just took more away and charged more. Like, wait a second. Like, I'm joking partially, but like, but yeah, like I think that there's that too, right? Where you just have to be careful. It's a slippery slope, and I think that people should get paid. Like that's don't think that I'm against people getting paid to do this, especially if you're trying to make it your living, which it's a weird thing, like that this would be like a living thing. But I mean, here we are, we're in this world, right? So, and so it's a new world of like, and it's got a lot of pitfalls that haven't ever been addressed before, as far as ethics and code of conduct kind of stuff. But I mean, it's a tough thing because, I mean, you saw with the Cameron thing or the Golden Sound thing, like that was a big deal. And granted, that was a negative on the company side of the house.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But like at the same time, these are pitfalls that everybody's kind of having to figure out and work their way through and figure out how it works. Because there's also the side of the house because I've heard a lot of people from the other side worried, and I've seen it where a group of influencers, let's say, completely crap on a company, and it could destroy that company. And they could be a good company, but because that influencer didn't like something that whatever they did, or they could get some kind of clout from it because they destroyed a company, and like, oh, they did this bad thing, but did they? Or is it just you getting clout for trying to win, and then something, I don't know. Like I've seen some pretty shady things in the time I've been here in this space. Not just in the audio world, but just like watching, the online stuff. It's wild, man. Like, so you have to be very careful, I feel like, when it comes to that stuff, especially in today's day and age of like, if you got some skeletons, it's going to be found out real quick.
Right. Well, and I think Hobby brought up a good point too on that, because to me, that reminds me of like Nike and Adidas and all that stuff. I remember growing up as a kid, like if you didn't have something Nike, then, you got beat up and bullied and whatever else. And it's like, kind of doing that with the collab thing now too. Just slap a name on it, it's better. No. It's.
Ooh, see, that's dangerous. That's what I'm talking about, Hobby. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. Like, you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can't. Obviously, they do, but I mean, that's morally and ethically not correct, in my opinion. Like, you've now gone from gray to black and white. This is probably not a good idea. Like, And then when you get into that realm, how much is it less about? It's now you're creating a Linsol versus Hi-Fi Go scenario, right? Like that's sorry, I don't know if people will watch this later and be like, what the hell is he talking about? In the chat, it's mentioned how somebody on one side bashed another company affiliate with another company, right? Like, and that's the other thing, this affiliate bashing, like, get out of here with that. Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Like,
I agree.
Like,
here's the funny part about that, Tyler, is I love watching camera video. I mean, I know you do too. Mark's Camera Crisis, you linked me his. I love his channel. There's other camera guys. I love their channels. They, will go right
affiliates
on
up the
yin. Hey, I'm affiliated. Buy this.
Yeah.
If you want to give me
not a big deal.
And I don't care. Why do we care so much in audio?
When it comes to audio,
it's nuts.
Audio has such a weird
it's
double standard of all this.
The only thing I can think of is, I guess, play devil's advocate a little bit here, is I guess on cameras or tech, think CPUs and things, there's numbers associated that are actual.
There's
numbers.
Real world factual things. Whereas with here's the problem with headphones and audio. Because remember what I talked about with the brain, how it EQs things? Yeah. And so there's a psychology in audio that you can't put numbers and measurements onto. People try. You can try all day long, but it doesn't. But at the end of the day, that individual person's brain is going to EQ it to sound the way that they think is the right way to hear it. Right. So, and there's actual psychology and science behind that. So so that's where the snake oil comes into play, I think, and that's where I think people start getting weird about it, is because it becomes snake oil. Yeah, dude. Yes. Yeah, you're right, man. Not that that's a laughing matter. That's a real thing. We have, good personal stuff. I know that space a little bit, not greatly, but and I know you are deep in it too. But yeah, it is, man. There's the weird where they go off on the bad side of it, and it's wild. I don't know. It's just crazy, man. The double standard, so with back to the brain piece and the psychology of it. I think that's why people don't like the. Yeah, I didn't want to call it out. But that's all. I was trying to be PC. But yeah, I think that there's a psychology behind it more so, which then ingrains into people's opinions on things. And everyone is very, I always say this, but it's the protagonist problem, right? So everyone is the protagonist of their own story. Everyone has their blinders up, and everyone else around them is NPCs and not other protagonists in their mind, right? Which is not true. Everyone else around you is protagonists. Everyone else has the same, oh, I'm the hero. And you need to realize that, because your way of thinking is not their way of thinking. And so, and to have empathy and to be able to step out of your own shoes a little bit and be like, wait a minute, how's their experience? What path are they on? I wonder what path they're on. You know what I mean? You have to be able to kind of pivot and be like, okay, well, how are they hearing it? And how do I reconcile that kind of thing? And I think people, if you can do that to some degree, at least attempt it or try, because you're never going to hear or see or feel what other people do. That's just impossible, right? It's just not the way it is right now. But if you can attempt it and try it, just trying to wrap your brain around it, I think that would speak a lot more on getting us to a healthier place in the audiophile space as far as those things are concerned.
No, I agree. And exactly what you're saying, to wrap that kind of full circle with the affiliate thing is like we said, with camera and with technology and other things that have legit numbers or a picture, on a screen, here's a photo A and photo B, I can clearly see the difference. Now, don't get me wrong, we can also see things differently too, depending on how your monitor's calibrated and those types of fun things. But it is more direct, I would say, than audio. But at the same time, you got to remember that everybody is going to hear differently. And if you don't agree with them, move on. I don't understand why people can't just simply move on and just say, you know what, I'll just watch somebody else and get another opinion. That's what I would do.
Yes. Sorry, I'm putting it on the screen Yeah. Agreed. I think they agree to disagree, or maybe try to engage in a positive feedback. I think it's the other thing, dude. Approach it with a sense of hey, I don't feel the same way. why do you feel that way? Instead of being like, you're wrong, or your thoughts are trash, or you know what I mean? Like there's positive ways to approach these topics or approach other people in general. And I think that's the other weird part, man. Like the social aspect of the community aspect of it. There's certain parts of it where people I like the Mike Tyson thing. People got comfortable with social media, and I think they need to get punched in the face a little bit more to understand how disrespectful some of the things that they say are, right? Like it's kind of wild. Real quick, Hobby. Yeah, like a good villain is a relatable villain, man. Like, and that's goes for everything, right? Like if you can relate to something, that's usually the best way to, and that's a good way to look at it. Like, not that I think Thanos was right, but like you can relate. Yeah, like, oh yeah, I get that. I see where they're coming from, and that's just it. Like, how do you, instead of framing it of like they're against me, think of it like, well, where are you coming? Where are they coming from? How do I see? How do I stop, turn the corner, and look at the view that they're looking at? You know what I mean? Like, how and try to figure it out that way. But I don't know. That's and you're never going to get that to happen across the board. It's just it's the human condition.
No,
but, I mean,
you won't. It'll be a topic till the end of the days because that'll never, unfortunately, change.
Yeah.
I guess hitting about in the hour and a half mark. A couple of things I wanted to say before.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to go back kind of the CanJam thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I was going to bring up is I was reading on HeadFi and somebody was asking, hey, I'm getting ready to go to a CanJam. What are some things I should prepare for or do, not do? And the one thing I laughed about was somebody said, be careful about your volume because when you're sitting next to somebody that's, if I can hear you in my open back headphones and your volumes, but
it's just loud there, man.
It's just loud. And the other thing with that too, again, goes back to hearing. I don't think you should necessarily think of it as somebody's being downright rude. They probably just can't hear as well as you. They probably can't hear as well. Need to hear louder.
Are they an older person? Are they like
or somebody that's works landscaping or
landscaping?
Something,
or maybe they work hard. Yeah, heavy equipment. But also, here's some good tips. Like Steve, Purell or any kind of hand sanitizer, wipes. You want to have those are all big things. It's very noisy, so anything you listen to on the main show floor, be ready for the fact that it's probably not how it will sound at home for you if you were to get it at home by yourself in a quiet environment, in a controlled environment on your chain. That's the other thing. These are very specific chains that they have, not necessarily that they've been optimized for this, chain for you to listen to. It's just that's the gear they have. So just be ready for that as well. So these would be, it won't sound that same way at your abode.
Yeah.
It gets stinky. It gets.
I was going to say the fart chair.
The fart chair. Jeez Louise, man, that was rough, man. That was the is it Austrian audio? You know what I'm talking about? That was that one.
Yes,
we sat in a chair.
That's why I brought that up. Yep.
I remember sitting down and be like, oh, it's surrounding me.
Don't eat beans before CanJam, then I don't know.
Yeah, it was but in general, most people there are very nice. It's very I've rarely seen any mean people there. It's always very friendly.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but Hobby, you're right. So that is something else too. If you can bring, if you have a dongle or something, as long as you're not wanting to listen to a Tungsten, but if you have a dongle that's your own that you want to listen to a headphone on, I would highly recommend doing that, because I'm not trying to say all vendors do that, because they don't, but some of them will EQ some things or put some flavor on something. I've seen it. I've heard it.
I've 100% seen it. 100%. I've even, and not EQ per se, the one I've messed with, but I did the CanJam New York. Sorry, I was trying to say, hey, Timothy, love you too, brother. But
thanks, Tim.
Depending on the chain, some of the things that they have tied to it will change the impedance or they'll give you there'll be preamps on some of this stuff, which will give it that extra boost, which is it's a form of EQ. And so that's something else to be aware of. The different, like you said, the EQ is for real, man. That's what I was saying. That's definitively it. The things you hear at a show will not be the same way you hear it at home with your own gear in your own environment.
And I will tell you that not all of them, but there are quite a few of them at least at CanJam that are pretty generous with, hey, I love your headphone. Can I take it to ZMF room because I have that amp?
Hmm.
And a lot of times they'll let you do it,
Hmm.
but not always. But
Not always.
I would say if
Depends.
somebody wants to sell their gear, they should. They should let you want to hear what it's going to sound like in your own house.
Yeah. I think that one, I think depends on if they know you or not, or if you're with them.
Right. Yeah, that too. I mean, yeah.
Or if they can see it, like if you're like, hey, can I take this to that table that's like right there, and they can watch you do that, like that'd
Yeah.
be one thing.
I tell you
But
what's wild is the guy that I saw like bring. He was at an IM booth and he literally sat down his measuring rig. I'm like, come on.
Jesus. Oh,
I'm like, how
which
about you
that's
just
going to be
listen to
so
it?
inaccurate. Like all the ambient noise,
Yeah.
like all the like. Oh.
I saw him like writing down notes. I'm like, oh, okay.
So speaking of that, like that's something you have to realize. So you know who Kryn is, right? So Kryn, how he got started, Critical, yeah.
Yeah.
How he got started, and this is something that a lot of people, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of people know about this, but I mean, so how he got started was he would literally do that at, there was this coffee shop that did audio, and they're amazing in Singapore, and he would literally drag his little, the whatever that $100 rig is, audio measuring rig with the ears rig,
Yeah.
and you'd put it down in this coffee shop and measure the gear there. That's how he got started. So it makes you realize too, well, especially if you get like initially, like I don't think anyone really thought anything of it, but like when you actually get deeper and deeper into this deeper and deeper into this hobby, or deeper into like the measurements, you realize how sensitive those things are. Like, yeah, hobby, his dog upstairs playing around,
yeah,
will factor in like the vibrations, the ambient noise. There's all sorts of things that go into those. That's why you have those measurement rigs, like the professional, like actual scientific ones, are in anechoic chambers,
right?
So that they have, completely dead zero sound to measure things. And so, like, that's something else you have to think about with these measurements. Like, that's why I always like, dude, take measurements with a grain of salt, man. Because how much is this person doing a measurement in like a office building and like a train goes by, or like, you know what I mean? Not that that will factor greatly or anything like that, but it's just like one of those things. Marvin, what's up, bro?
Hey, Marvin.
But that's the thing to think about too, right? Like, how much of this is ambient? There's so many factors in that these are people that are doing this for hobbies. They're doing it for fun. They're doing it or for a business, for instance. But how much of that business do they have an anechoic words? They're so freaking hard. Anechoic chamber. Anyways, but like probably not, because they're expensive and really hard to build. So they could have the most expensive possible measurement rig in the world, but if they're sitting next to a noisy window with a bunch of pigeons outside going like, how much is that factor?
I wish they just put a sign up in front of the like opening to the CanJam room, like, leave your measurements at home, enjoy the experience.
Yeah,
done.
Real. Yeah. And hobby, that's the other one that drives me nuts too, is like this, like that matters too. How many seatings, how many multiple, because that factors heavily into like the average. It's wild. The measurements thing, I saw some, like I had a guy that was actually smarter. Like, well, a lot of people are smarter than me, but he was actually smart. He's like a proper like genius kind of guy. And he was showing me how that all worked on a set of ears, even like he had he had custom done this ears thing. And he was showing me how much a difference, just the placement to how much, if you pressed on the pads, if the pads were worn out, to like everything, like it was so many things changed the frequency. He's like, you could totally flub this measurement just by like every once in a while, just kind of maybe tapping the desk that it's on, just like me doing that. Like, or if you're sitting at the desk waiting for the measurement to go and you're just tapping your foot, how much that it was wild, man. Like, so I don't know.
I mean, just an example that, and Timothy, I have not heard the BTR7, by the way. I don't know if Tyler has, but what I will say to that too is, just like the measurement rig, the Lyric 2, I always come back to that. I had the Lyric 2 when I first listened to it, did not sound good to me like others. And then Meze sent me a second set, and I tried a couple of suggestions for different placement on my ear, and suddenly I got good bass response. Well, I mean, just like you talked about with seating and all that,
it matters, man. Having a seal on this is your room. The headphone, the cup, the pad, all that equates to a room.
And it's just like an IEM.
Yeah, IEMs are the room on the IEM is the tip. And so like if it doesn't seal, it's going to be a completely different beast, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said I don't dismiss the measurements. I just, yeah, in my opinion, leave them at home at a CanJam and just enjoy it, man. Just
Yeah,
go there and
exactly.
listen to some music.
All yeah, and that's at the end of the day. That's what we're here for, listening to music, which is so really. I remember getting into a big old fight. Someone used that term. Listen, I'm just here to listen to music as a. They were using it as a means to like back out of bad arguments, but
Yeah, yeah.
but I mean that's what we're here for at the end of the
Honestly,
day.
you know, speaking of music, there is one thing I'm going to try different this year. Is I do usually have a set list that I'll like download to my phone for music I want to listen to at CanJam. I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to do day one and day two because music fatigue I think is also real. Like if
Oh,
I
dude, that's
continue to
real,
listen
real.
to the same track,
Dude.
I'm done by the end of the day. I'm like, I don't want to hear Adele one more time
Oh,
today
dude.
or whoever
Yeah.
else. So I'm actually going to do a day one and day two set list and try that out this year.
Yeah, I agreed. I would have different like
Different artists.
artists, different, but like on par quality of music,
Right.
but like just different.
Exactly.
Yeah, agreed. Well, the other thing I get sometimes, I don't know if you do, but like I call it the wall of sound or wall of noise, not to be confused with the Tribe Called Quest track, but where it just everything starts to blend together. It's just ear fatigue, and all of a sudden you just get tired.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and you can't pick anything out, and you just kind of like you can get it from all sorts of things. Like I get it usually because I'm tired, I didn't sleep very good, or if I have too much caffeine, that will trigger like certain things where it's like I won't hear properly the way that should. I guess I don't know. So I mean that's mood. We talked about before mood, right? We're at factors.
Right.
If
It
you have
does.
too much caffeine, if you're dehydrated, you're tired, you're sad, you're mad, you're all those things, you'll factor heavily into how you approach these things.
Maybe I'll bring a flask to CanJam.
Oh yeah. Oh dude, I'll be walking by. I'm going just I'll be there Friday night, and then so I'm only going Saturday. Then I leave Sunday morning. One day is enough for me. I always it's enough, but not enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't really create content. I usually just go there to say hi to people more than anything else. But yeah, like I think, but I'm 2.5 miles away, so I'm gonna have a nice walk in the morning to get there.
Oh yeah. Marvin, how funny it'd be to go to CanJam just using your measurement years. That's what I'm saying. I sadly think some people probably do instead of actually listening just to get as much information as possible so they can.
Oh man,
Yeah.
wild. I'm just
I'd
envisioning
like to
it.
think
Sorry,
not,
dude.
but
Just
I'm
like,
sure it happens.
I'm sure it does.
I know some of the guys get pissed. I've seen it. Like, hey,
Yeah.
put that away. Just
Yeah, get out of here with that. Yeah. Because it does. It's ridiculous. Like you're in a noisy ass freaking conference center with like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, hobby, dude. Depending on the day, like that, the time of day, it greatly changes. Yeah. Probably a lot. All that blood's gone. Can't hear very good. Everything's just kind of like.
that guy seems pretty uptight. I won't read that comment. Let you guys see that the replay. 14 hours. Wow. Yeah, that's a drive. My flight's gonna be like 6 hours total, I think. But yeah, that's a long drive.
Yeah,
but I won't be there all weekend. I'm actually gonna leave Monday afternoon so I can not have to leave so late. I left at 5 a.m. last year from SoCal.
Oof. Yeah, I remember last year. I got in at like super late, and I went and hung out. What did I do? I can't remember. But then I was just tired. This year it's different. My wife does all my planning, so like she's like and so I was like, could I please have like at least some time to like not be exhausted? She's like, okay, sure. Because she's like she travels all the time. So she's always like, and she's a very no nonsense. She gets there, she has a job to do, she does the job, and then she leaves as quickly as possible. She doesn't want to socialize. She doesn't want to she's a very like da. And where I'm like, dude, I want to go in. I'm actually there to see people and say hi to people. Like, so I had to explain that. Like, I'm not there to just go in, look around and then run out.
Right.
So
Yeah, no,
this
getting to
year's a
see
little bit
people
different.
is definitely a fun part of it. Probably the biggest part of it,
Yeah,
to be honest.
agreed. Yeah, like I said, there's going to be some. One of my buddies going to show up there. It's going to be his second, I think, show he's ever gone to, second or third. So it'll be interesting to see how he feels about it. But
Nice.
Yeah.
Wife's birthday weekend, maybe next year. Yeah, wife's birthday is probably more important than CanJam. Good choice.
I'm missing a couple. Like my daughter's birthday is during her birthday weekend is during Pacific Audio Fest. It's next weekend, weekend after next weekend. And so I'm picking one day, and so I'm only gonna be at PAF for like one of the days, probably Friday. Just spend the whole day Friday there. But
Nice.
It's funny, like if you're going just to go listen and just like talk to people and like just go, like if you can dedicate one day to one of these shows, like you'll get so much time in, and like it's kind of overwhelming, to be honest. So I can see why you'd want multiple days, but like for me, like I think because I've done this enough times or been in, I've heard enough things that you can just kind of like, I don't know. For me, anyways, I found like one day is generally enough.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's why if you're going to do that, you got to at least have a list so you know your like top 3 or 4 that you want to check out if you have it. I do need to.
You need to roll.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good. You need to kick me off, dude. My wife calls it the forever goodbyes. You just need to tell me to get the F off.
But I do want to thank all you guys for joining, and I'll keep this up for a replay. I always do on the streams. So I'll add some chapters later when I get some time. But yeah, it was nice to see you guys join the chat. And Tyler, always fun, man.
Yeah, brother. That's always. I love this. This is actually my favorite thing, is doing these live streams more than anything else. So
it is a lot of fun.